Captain Hansol stared at his coffee cup, wondering if he had drunk too much or too little. The message on his screen couldn't be real. But it was. Aliens had finally made contact with Earth, and their first message was not "take me to your leader," but rather "send us your best fighters, or we will take your planet." The small office in the Korean Space Defense Force headquarters felt even smaller as he read the message for the 10th time. Outside his window, Seoul's towers gleamed in the morning sun, their residents still unaware that humanity faced its biggest test yet. "Captain, the council is waiting," his assistant called through the door. Hansol grabbed his tablet and straightened his uniform. As he walked through the bright hallways, he noticed how everyone moved faster than usual, their faces tight with worry. News of the alien ultimatum had spread quickly through the military ranks. In the meeting room, 12 screens showed faces from different Earth defense agencies. Some looked scared, others angry. General Park, Hansol's direct superior, nodded at him to begin his report. "The Stellar Confederation, as they call themselves, has conquered 17 civilizations before us," Hansol said, pulling up his findings on the main screen. "They always follow the same pattern. They challenge each world to a series of combat trials. If the planet's champions win, they leave them alone. If they lose," he didn't need to finish the sentence. "So we send our best special forces," someone suggested. "Navy SEALs, SAS, everyone we've got." Hansol shook his head. "That's what I thought at first too. But look at this." He showed another set of data. "I've been studying the records they sent us. Every civilization that sent their elite warriors lost. Every single one." The room grew quiet. Hansol continued, his voice getting more excited as he explained his discovery. "But there's something interesting. The only times they struggled, even a little bit, was when they faced unexpected problems. Like when one planet's transport ship broke down, and they had to send backup fighters who weren't prepared. Those unprepared fighters lasted longer than the elite ones." General Park leaned forward. "What are you suggesting, Captain?" Hansol took a deep breath. What he was about to suggest might sound crazy. "I think we're looking at this wrong. The Confederation expects us to send our best-trained soldiers. They've beaten the best of 17 civilizations. They know how to fight against perfect training and discipline." He clicked to another screen, showing a video from the Korean Space Force's personnel files. "But what if we sent them something they've never faced before? Something no logical military mind would ever expect." The video showed a space transport ship pulling off an impossible maneuver through an asteroid field. The pilot's voice could be heard singing old trot songs, clearly drunk but somehow flying better than any sober pilot could. "This is Captain Duha of the transport ship Soju Dream," Hansol explained. "He and his crew have the highest success rate in difficult missions, despite being," he paused, looking for the right words, "unconventional in their methods." "You want to send drunk pilots against an alien armada?" someone asked in disbelief. "I want to send people the aliens won't know how to fight," Hansol corrected. "Every simulation I've run shows the same thing. Perfect soldiers will lose against their perfect soldiers, but they've never faced anything like Duha and his crew. They don't follow normal rules or patterns. They're unpredictable." General Park rubbed his temples. "Captain, you're suggesting we bet the fate of Earth on a crew that once tried to deliver cargo by playing space pinball with asteroids?" "Yes, sir," Hansol replied firmly. "Because they succeeded in that delivery when no one else could. The Confederation expects discipline and perfection. Let's show them something they've never seen before, the chaotic, creative side of humanity." The room erupted in arguments, but Hansol noticed something important. For the first time since the ultimatum arrived, people were talking about possibility instead of defeat. Sometimes, he thought, the best weapon against perfect enemies was perfect chaos. And nobody did chaos better than the crew of the Soju Dream. Captain Duha was exactly where Hansol expected to find him. At the Galaxy Bar near the spaceport, arm wrestling a robot, while singing old love songs. The bar was busy with the usual crowd of space transport workers, but Duha's voice carried over everything else. "Captain Duha," Hansol said, trying to get his attention. "1 minute," Duha replied cheerfully. He turned back to the robot. "Double or nothing, you rusty can opener." With a quick twist, he slammed the robot's metal arm down on the table. The robot's eyes flickered in surprise, and several watchers cheered. Hansol waited as Duha collected his winnings. The transport captain wasn't what most people expected from a spaceship commander. His uniform was wrinkled, his hair messy, and he had a permanent smile that made him look like he was always thinking about a good joke. "So," Duha said, walking over, "the famous Captain Hansol visits my humble drinking spot. What brings you here?" "Want to learn my secret technique for arm wrestling robots?" "I'm here to offer you a mission," Hansol replied. "One that might save Earth." Duha's smile got bigger. "Sounds interesting. Let me call my crew." He pulled out his communicator and pressed a button. "Hey, emergency meeting at the usual table." Within minutes, the rest of the Soju Dream's main crew arrived. G1, the security chief, came first. She was still wearing boxing gloves from her practice session at the Spaceports Fight Club. Behind her was Unki, the engineer, carrying what looked like half a spaceship engine wrapped in duct tape. "What's the emergency?" Jai-1 asked, grabbing a chair. "I was just about to win a bet about how many cargo robots I could fight at once." "Earth needs champions to fight against alien invaders," Hansol explained. "I want to send your crew." There was a moment of silence. Then all three of them burst out laughing. "Good one," Duha said, wiping tears from his eyes. "For a second, I thought you were serious." "I am serious," Hansol said. He showed them the data on his tablet. "The aliens expect perfect soldiers. But look at your record. You've completed impossible deliveries, survived situations that should have destroyed your ship, and even once fixed a wormhole generator with soju and rubber bands." Imki finished proudly. "That was a good day. The soju was for drinking, but the rubber bands worked great." "Exactly," Hansol said. "You're unpredictable. The aliens won't know how to handle you." Jai-1 cracked her knuckles. "So you want us to fight aliens?" "I'm in. I've been getting bored fighting robots anyway." "Hold on," Duha said, suddenly looking serious. "This is about Earth's survival. Are you sure you want to trust that to us? We're not soldiers. We're just, well, we're us." Hansol nodded. "That's exactly why I want you. The aliens have beaten soldiers 17 times, but they've never faced anyone like you." "He's got a point," Yumki said, tinkering with his engine part. "Remember when we had to deliver those eggs to Mars? Everyone said it was impossible because of the asteroid field, but Captain figured out we could bounce off the asteroids like a pinball game. And we didn't break a single egg," Duha said proudly. His smile returned, bigger than ever. "Okay, Hansol, you've convinced me. But I have conditions." "Name them." "First, we do this our way. No military telling us to be proper and boring." Duha counted on his fingers. "Second, we need full access to our special supplies." "You mean your drink collection?" Hansol asked. "It's fuel for inspiration," Duha insisted. "And third, we get to pick the music." Hansol thought about the serious, disciplined alien warriors facing a ship-blasting trot music, piloted by a crew that treated space combat like a dance party. It was crazy. It was unprofessional. It was exactly what Earth needed. "Deal," he said, shaking Duha's hand. "Excellent." Duha turned to his crew. "All right, team. Let's go save Earth. But first, one more round. We need to toast to our new mission." As Hansol watched them celebrate, he wondered if he had made the right choice. Then he saw Duha catch a falling glass without even looking, while singing and planning their first move against the aliens, and he knew Sometimes the best warriors weren't warriors at all. The Stellar Confederation space station was a perfect circle of shining metal. Hundreds of ships from their fleet surrounded it, each one identical and positioned with mathematical precision. Everything was quiet, organized, and proper. Then the Soju dream arrived. "Are you sure about the music?" Hansol asked through the communication screen. He was back on Earth, watching everything from mission control. "Trust me," Duha replied, turning up the volume of the old trot song even louder. The ship's speakers blasted the cheerful melody into space. First impressions are important. The Soju dream wasn't flying straight. Instead, it was moving in a wavy pattern, like it was dancing to the music. The alien ships around it seemed to lean away, as if they were confused by this strange behavior. Incoming message from the station. Jai-1 reported from her security station. She was wearing her formal uniform, but had somehow added sparkly patches to it. A stern alien face appeared on their main screen. It had gray skin, perfect posture, and an expression that suggested it had never smiled in its life. "Human vessel," the alien said. "You are not following the approved approach pattern." "Oh, sorry," Duha said cheerfully. He took a quick sip from his flask. "We thought that was the approved pattern. You see, on Earth, it's polite to dance your way into a first meeting." The alien blinked all four of its eyes. "Dance your way in." "Of course." Duha spun his captain's chair in a circle. "Shows you come in peace and want to have a good time. Here, watch this move." The Soju dream did a perfect barrel roll, still somehow staying on beat with the music. Mki's voice came from the engine room. "Captain, that last spin made something come loose. No worries, though. I'll fix it with my emergency repair kit." "The duct tape or the super glue?" Jai-1 asked. "Neither. I've got a new secret weapon. Elastic bands and leftover kimchi sauce. The fermentation adds extra stick." The alien commander looked like it was getting a headache. "Please, just dock at Bay 17. Using standard docking procedures." "Standard procedures, coming right up," Duha said. He turned to his crew and whispered, "What do they consider standard again?" Nobody knew, so Duha did it his way. The Soju dream spun, twisted, and somehow parallel parked perfectly into the docking bay, while finishing the final of the trot song. Inside the station, a welcoming committee of alien officials waited. They stood in perfect rows, wearing perfect uniforms, with perfect serious expressions. The Soju dream's airlock opened with a hiss, releasing the smell of kimchi and soju into the station's sterile air. Duha walked out first, stumbled slightly, caught himself with a spin that made it look intentional, and bowed deeply. "Greetings, noble space friends," he announced. "We bring gifts from Earth." He pulled out several bottles of soju and some packages of snacks. "This is not proper diplomatic protocol," one alien official said stiffly. "Oh, my mistake." Duha looked genuinely sorry. Then he opened one bottle and poured drinks for everyone. On Earth, proper protocol is to share food and drinks first, then do the boring formal stuff. Jai-1 and Mki joined him, passing out cups. The aliens looked at the drinks with confusion and suspicion. "It's perfectly safe," Duha assured them. "Look." He drank his cup in one shot, then did another perfect bow that somehow turned into a small dance move. One brave alien official took a tiny sip. Its eyes widened. Others followed. The perfect rose started to become slightly less perfect. "Now," Duha said, refilling cups, "let's talk about these trials you mentioned. But first, does anyone know this song?" He started singing again, and to everyone's surprise, one young alien official started humming along. Hansol, watching from Earth, put his head in his hands. But he couldn't help noticing that the alien ships around the station had shifted positions, breaking their perfect formation just slightly, as if they were unconsciously swaying to the music. Sometimes, he thought, chaos was contagious. And that might be exactly what Earth needed. The asteroid field stretched out before them like a minefield made of space rocks. The Stellar Confederation had chosen this as the first trial, a race through the densest asteroid belt in the sector. The rules are simple, the alien judge announced. First ship to reach the other side wins. No weapons allowed, no shortcuts. Duha looked at the course through the Soju Dream's main window. He took a long drink from his lucky flask, then grinned. Looks fun, like a giant playground. The alien ships lined up at the starting line, 5 of their best pilots in sleek, perfect vessels. The Soju Dream sat next to them, looking like a happy drunk at a formal party. Captain Ki called from engineering. I've redirected power from the coffee maker to the party lights. You mean the defensive shields? Jai-1 corrected. No, I mean the party lights, but they work as shields too. Kind of. Sometimes. Duha nodded happily. Perfect. Can't race without good lighting. The alien judge's voice crackled over the radio. All ships, prepare for countdown. Inside the alien ships, pilots were running final calculations, plotting exact courses through the asteroid field. In the Soju Dream, Duha was teaching his crew a new dance move. 3, 2, 1, begin. The alien ships shot forward in perfect formation. The Soju Dream spun in a circle first, then zoomed after them while blasting an upbeat song about space love. Sir, Jai-1 said, checking her screens, the aliens are following pre-planned routes. Very efficient, very boring. Boring is bad, Duha declared. He spotted a particularly round asteroid ahead. Watch this. He turned the ship sideways and used the asteroid's curve like a ramp, spinning the Soju Dream in a spiral. Somehow, this launched them past 2 alien ships. That's impossible, one alien pilot shouted over the radio. The physics don't work that way. Physics? Duha laughed. I never studied that. I just feel the flow. The party lights kicked in, sending rainbow colors across the asteroid field. The light bounced off the space rocks, creating a disco ball effect. 3 alien ships got distracted and had to adjust their perfect courses. Captain Ki yelled excitedly. The vibrations from the music are creating a harmonic resonance with the engine core. Good or bad? Jai-1 asked. No idea. But it's making us go faster. Duha spotted another opportunity. 2 large asteroids were about to collide. Any sane pilot would avoid that area. Duha wasn't feeling very sane. Everyone hold on to something, he shouted cheerfully. We're going to thread the needle. The Soju Dream shot straight toward the closing gap between the asteroids. Duha was humming along with the music, moving the ship controls like he was conducting an orchestra. The alien pilots watched in horror as the human ship spun, twisted, and somehow slipped through the narrowing space sideways, while doing what appeared to be a barrel roll. Did we just dance through that? Jai-1 asked, still gripping her chair. Space ballet, Duha confirmed. My specialty after 6 drinks. They were now in the lead. The finish line was just ahead. The alien ships were trying to catch up, but their perfect calculations couldn't match Duha's creative chaos. Should we finish with style? Duha asked his crew. Is there any other way? They answered together. Duha hit the party lights at full power, turned on their most energetic song, and performed what he called the drunken space butterfly, a series of spins and twirls that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. The Soju Dream crossed the finish line doing a perfect pirouette. Back at the start line, Hansol and the alien officials watched in stunned silence. Finally, one alien turned to Hansol. Was your pilot dancing through an asteroid field? No, Hansol replied with a straight face. He was obviously performing a complex tactical maneuver based on advanced chaos theory. The alien looked confused. Really? Of course not. He was definitely dancing. The sound of celebration music and laughing crew members echoed through space as the Soju Dream took its victory lap. Sideways, of course. Ji-won woke up with a headache. The celebration after winning the race had been big. Maybe too big. Now she had to fight the alien champion in personal combat, and the room wouldn't stop spinning. "You look terrible," Do-ha said cheerfully, helping her prepare in the practice room. "Have some of this. It's my special hangover cure." "Is it more alcohol?" Ji-won asked, squinting at the bottle. "Of course. Can't be hungover if you're still drunk." The alien combat arena was a perfect circle, with white lines marking the fighting area. Thousands of aliens sat in the stands, all sitting perfectly straight in perfect rows. They watched as Ji-won stumbled in, trying to fix her messy uniform. The alien champion stepped into the ring. He was tall, gray-skinned, and moved like a perfect fighting machine. His name was impossible to pronounce, so Ji-won just called him Bob in her head. "This combat trial will test pure martial arts skill," the alien referee announced. "No weapons allowed." "What about this?" Ji-won held up her half-empty energy drink. "That is not a weapon." "You've clearly never seen me throw a can at closing time," she muttered, but set it aside. The alien champion bowed perfectly. Ji-won tried to bow back, but nearly fell over. From the audience, she heard Do-ha shout, "Remember the convenience store defense." Ji-won smiled. The convenience store defense was what she called her fighting style. Moves she'd learned breaking up fights at the spaceport's late-night shops. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. "Begin," the referee called. The alien champion moved forward with perfect form. Every step was calculated, every motion precise. He threw a perfect punch. Ji-won hiccuped and fell sideways, completely by accident. The punch missed. "Standing is hard," she complained. "Let's try something else." She dropped to the ground and rolled toward the alien's legs like a drunk log. It wasn't a real fighting move, but it worked. The alien jumped back, confused. "What technique is this?" he demanded. "I call it Friday Night Special," Ji-won replied, getting up in a wobbly way that somehow turned into a spinning kick. The alien blocked the kick, but didn't expect Ji-won to keep spinning. She wasn't doing it on purpose. She just couldn't stop. Her elbow caught him by surprise. "Your style makes no sense," the alien said, backing away. "There's no pattern." "Pattern?" Ji-won laughed. "I'm just trying not to fall down." She charged forward, using a move she'd invented called Drunk Butterfly Catches Bus. Lots of arm waving and unexpected direction changes. The alien couldn't predict where she would go because even she didn't know. From the stands, Do-ha and Eum-ki were cheering and waving light sticks they'd somehow smuggled in. They'd also started teaching nearby aliens a chant that made no sense. The alien champion tried another perfect attack. Ji-won responded with her signature move, the spilled noodles counter. She flopped around like a wet noodle, somehow turning the alien's own strength against him. "This is not proper combat," the alien protested from the floor. "Never got that memo," Ji-won said, too busy learning how to fight 5 angry miners while holding a cup of coffee. The fight continued, looking more like a strange dance than a martial arts match. The alien would attack with textbook perfection, and Ji-won would respond with moves that seemed to ignore physics and common sense. Finally, after Ji-won used her sleepy octopus defense, lots of random arm movements while yawning, the alien champion held up his hands. "I yield," he said. "I cannot fight what I cannot understand." The arena was silent. Then Do-ha started playing celebration music from a small speaker he'd hidden in his uniform. Soon, even some of the aliens were bobbing their heads to the beat. "Good fight, Bob," Ji-won said, helping the alien up. "Want to get a drink? I know some great moves I can teach you. They work better when you're not entirely sure what you're doing." The alien champion stared at her for a moment, then did something no one had ever seen before. He laughed. From Earth, watching the broadcast, Hansol made a note. "Chaos spreads. may be our greatest weapon. Yun-Ki stood in the alien engineering bay, staring at the challenge before him. The aliens had set up what they called a simple engineering test. It didn't look simple at all. Your task, the alien chief engineer explained, is to repair this quantum drive using only the parts provided. He pointed to a table of perfectly arranged tools and components. Can I use my own tools? Yun-Ki asked, patting his trusty toolbox. Absolutely not. These are the standard approved tools for quantum drive repair. Yun-Ki looked sad. Not even my lucky screwdriver. I won it in a card game with a robot. No. What about my emergency repair kit? The one full of adhesive strips and fermented food items? Definitely not. Yun-Ki sighed dramatically. Behind him, Du-Ha and Jai-Won watched from the observation area, sharing a bottle of something that was definitely not allowed in the engineering bay. 5 alien engineers stood at similar workstations. They began their work immediately, following the repair manual step by step. Their movements were perfect, precise, and exactly the same. Yun-Ki just walked around his quantum drive, poking it occasionally and humming an old spaceship commercial jingle. Shouldn't you be starting? The chief engineer asked. Oh, I am. I'm listening to the drive's mood. Quantum drives don't have moods. That's exactly what they want you to think. Yun-Ki said wisely, or at least what he thought was wisely. It's like my grandmother always said, never rush into fixing something without getting to know it first. The alien engineers were already halfway done, following each step perfectly. Yun-Ki was still walking circles around his drive, occasionally stopping to tell it jokes. He's not even using any tools, one alien whispered to another. Actually, Yun-Ki said, overhearing them, I'm using the most important tool right now. He tapped his head, then missed and tapped his ear instead. Creative thinking. From the observation area, Du-Ha shouted, show them the thing with the music. Oh right. Yun-Ki pulled out a small music player. Quantum particles respond to vibrations, you know. And what's music but organized vibrations? He started playing a trot song, holding it near the drive. The aliens watched in horror as he began dancing around the workstation, occasionally picking up tools and using them as percussion instruments. This is not proper engineering protocol. The chief engineer protested. Protocol is just a suggestion. Yun-Ki said, now using a wrench as a microphone, like pants or gravity. Suddenly, the quantum drive started humming along with the music. Yun-Ki's eyes lit up. See, it likes this song. Now watch this. What happened next defied every engineering principle the aliens knew. Yun-Ki moved like a crazy conductor, grabbing tools seemingly at random, using them in ways they were never meant to be used. He turned 2 precision instruments into chopsticks, used them to adjust something inside the drive, then somehow fixed a quantum fluctuation by harmonizing with it. It's he, singing to the quantum particles. An alien engineer asked in disbelief. Of course. Yun-Ki replied. They get lonely in there. Plus, if you hit the right frequency. He hit a particularly high note, and the drive's power level suddenly stabilized. One by one, the alien engineers stopped their work to watch. Yun-Ki had turned quantum drive repair into a one-man musical, complete with dance moves that somehow always ended with something being fixed. When the chief engineer called time, the alien engineers had all followed the manual perfectly. Their drives worked exactly as specified. But Yun-Ki's drive, it didn't just work. It purred, it hummed along with music, and somehow, impossibly, it was operating at 127% efficiency. How? The chief engineer demanded. This violates at least 15 laws of physics. Physics is more like guidelines, Yun-Ki said, patting the drive affectionately. Sometimes you just need to make friends with the universe and ask nicely. From Earth, Han Sol watched the broadcast and added to his notes. Humanity's greatest strength. Making the impossible possible by not knowing it's impossible. In the background, He could hear the alien engineers quietly humming Unki's repair song. The Stellar Confederation's High Council chamber was silent. The aliens sat in their perfect rows, looking more confused than ever. 2 trials lost to humans who seemed to break every rule of proper behavior. "This is unacceptable," the head counselor announced. "We must restore order. Prepare the final trial." Meanwhile, on the Soju Dream, the crew was having a party. They had turned the ship's mess hall into what they called a victory planning room, which mostly meant they covered the walls with party decorations and empty bottles. "Message from the council," Jai-1 said, checking her screen between bites of spicy ramen. "They want us in the main chamber in 1 hour." 1 hour. Duha looked at his watch. Perfect. Just enough time to teach Unki my new victory dance. That's when Han Sol's face appeared on the main screen. He looked worried. "Captain, we've got a problem," Han Sol said. "I just got the details of the final trial. It's not good." The crew gathered around the screen, some still holding their noodles. "They're combining everything," Han Sol explained. "Combat, engineering, and tactical skills, all at once. They're calling it the ultimate challenge of order." "Sounds boring," Jai-1 said. "Can we make it more fun?" "This is serious." Han Sol showed them the trial plans. "They've built a massive space station course. You'll have to navigate through defensive systems, repair complicated machinery, and fight elite guards, all while following strict protocols." Duha stroked his chin thoughtfully, then took a sip from his lucky flask. "So, what you're saying is, they want us to do everything we're bad at, all at the same time." "Exactly. This could be a disaster." The crew looked at each other. Then, slowly, they'd all started to smile. "Captain," Unki said, "remember that time we had to deliver eggs through an asteroid field while the ship was on fire and space pirates were chasing us? And we were out of fuel," Jai-1 added. "And we'd all just eaten that super spicy curry." Duha finished. "Good times." Han Sol blinked. "What does that have to do with anything?" "Everything." Duha jumped up, spilling his noodles but somehow catching them in midair. "Don't you see? The aliens keep trying to test us with their idea of hard things, but we're best at handling everything going wrong at once." The crew nodded enthusiastically. Unki was already pulling random items out of his pockets, muttering about emergency backup plans for the backup plans. "Think about it," Duha continued, pacing excitedly. "When things are orderly and follow rules, we mess up. But when everything is chaos, we shine." The crew shouted together. Han Sol watched as they started preparing for the trial in their own unique way. Ji-1 was practicing what she called emergency dance fighting. Unki was teaching the ship's computer to sing. Duha was explaining his plan to turn the entire challenge into what he called a space party obstacle course. "You're all crazy," Han Sol said, but he was starting to smile. "Crazy works," Duha replied. "Look how far it's got us already. The aliens expect us to fail because we can't handle everything at once. But that's when humans are at their best, when nothing makes sense and you just have to roll with it." The crew spent the next hour preparing in their own way. This meant they had a dance party, tried out some new repair techniques that definitely weren't in any manual, and made up silly songs about beating aliens with the power of chaos. As they walked into the council chamber later, slightly dizzy but very confident, Han Sol added to his notes, "Humanity's secret weapon, the ability to turn multiple disasters into one big adventure." The aliens were about to learn that when everything goes wrong, that's when humans go right. The final trial space station looked like a giant maze made of metal. Laser barriers crossed the corridors, security robots patrolled everywhere, and broken machines needed fixing at every turn. It was the aliens' perfect test of order and discipline. Duha looked at it and grinned. "Perfect. Lots of space for activities." "The rules are simple," the head counselor announced. "Navigate through the station, repair all marked systems, and reach the control room. The elite guard will try to stop you. You have 1 hour. Question. Yunki raised his hand. Can we use music? No. What about snacks? No. What about? No to everything that isn't standard equipment, the head counselor said firmly. The crew looked disappointed. Then Duha smiled his special smile, the one that usually meant trouble. Fine, he said. We'll just have to improvise. They entered the station. The first challenge was a corridor full of laser beams, arranged in a complex pattern that required perfect timing to cross. Traditional way would be to carefully plan each step, Jaiwan said. Boring, Duha declared. He pulled out his music player. Let's try something new. Yumki, remember that thing you did to the ship's karaoke system? Yumki's eyes lit up. The sonic resonance modifier. The one that made all the lights dance to the beat. Can you do that with laser beams? 5 minutes later, the security system was very confused. The laser beams were bouncing to the rhythm of an old dance song, creating a perfect pattern of gaps in time with the music. Dance party security bypass. Duha announced, leading his crew in a conga line through the lasers. Next came the broken machinery. The aliens watched through security cameras as Imki approached a damaged power core. This needs a careful, step-by-step repair approach, an alien engineer said. Instead, Yumki pulled out his emergency kimchi. The fermentation process creates a unique electrical charge, he explained to the confused machine. Plus, it's delicious. Somehow, the power core not only started working but began humming along with their music. The elite guard found them in the next section. They were the best fighters in the Confederation, trained in perfect combat techniques. Surrender now, their leader demanded. Counter offer, Jaewon said. Dance battle. Before the guards could respond, Duha had turned the corridor into a dance floor. The crew moved in perfect chaos, their random movements making them impossible to hit. This isn't proper combat, a guard complained. Nothing we do is proper. Duha spun past him. That's our secret weapon. The guards tried to fight, but how do you battle someone doing the quantum chicken dance while fixing a computer with fermented vegetables? As they got closer to the control room, the crew's chaos only grew. They turned broken robots into percussion instruments. They fixed computers by teaching them party games. They escaped traps by starting conga lines. Sir, an alien officer reported to the head counselor. They're approaching the final security door. But they're singing. Singing what? Something about space cats and disco parties. And they're using a broken communication panel as a dance floor. The final door required solving a complex mathematical equation. The crew's solution, they turned it into a drinking game. If x equals the speed of light, Duha said, and I equals the number of dance moves we know. Somehow, between Unki's random number theory, Jaewon's combat mathematics, and Duha's drink and guess method, they solved it. They burst into the control room doing cartwheels and singing victory songs. The timer showed they had finished with 20 minutes to spare. How? The head counselor demanded. This course was designed to test perfect order and discipline. Exactly, Duha said, still spinning. You designed it to stop people following rules. But we never follow rules. We follow the fun. Hansol, watching from Earth, made his final note. The aliens' perfect order was defeated by perfect chaos. Also, need to stock more kimchi for future space missions. The High Council chamber of the Stellar Confederation had changed. The perfect rows of seats were no longer perfectly straight. Some aliens were slouching, something unheard of before. One was even humming a trot song. We have a problem, the head counselor announced to the council. The humans have passed every trial. But more concerning, they're changing us. It was true. Throughout the station, signs of chaos were spreading. The cafeteria now served kimchi. Engineers had been caught singing to machines. Some guards were practicing what they called random defense moves. Duha and his crew sat in the middle of the chamber, sharing snacks and teaching nearby aliens a clapping game. In 17 conquests, the head counselor continued, we have never seen anything like this. We designed our trials to test perfect order, perfect discipline, perfect control. Instead, we got fun. Duha shouted helpfully. You got fun. Hansol, who had arrived from Earth for the final decision, tried to look serious, but even he was tapping his foot to the music playing softly from Mki's ever-present speaker. The head counselor looked at the reports in front of him. Your ships fly better when dancing. Your repairs work better with music. Your combat skills improve when you're not trying to fight properly. It makes no sense. Making sense is overrated, Jai-1 said, teaching an alien guard her sleepy octopus fighting move. You've beaten every challenge we created, the head counselor admitted. But more than that, you've shown us something we didn't know we were missing. Mki looked up from where he was showing young alien engineers how to fix things with snack foods. Missing what? Joy, the head counselor said simply. We became so focused on perfection that we forgot about joy. The council members nodded. Many were wearing the colorful patches Jai-1 had given them. Some had even started decorating their perfect uniforms. Therefore, the head counselor announced, we propose a new arrangement. Instead of conquest, we offer alliance. We have much to learn from each other. Like how to party? Duha asked hopefully. Like how to embrace chaos without losing control. How to find solutions outside the manual. How did you put it? Dance through asteroids. The crew cheered. Even Hansol smiled broadly. But the head counselor added, we have one condition. Everyone got quiet. All future diplomatic meetings must include karaoke. The chamber erupted in cheers. Duha immediately started setting up a karaoke machine he had somehow hidden in his jacket. J1 began teaching alien diplomats her victory dance. Mki was already planning how to make the chamber's lights sync with the music. Later, as alien and human diplomats signed the peace treaty, while a karaoke contest happened in the background, Hansol finished his final report. The Stellar Confederation sought to test humanity's perfection. Instead, they discovered our perfect imperfection. They sent their best soldiers, engineers, and pilots. We sent our chaos agents, and they changed the galaxy. Note, thanks to the crew of the Soju Dream, the following items are now considered essential diplomatic tools. Karaoke machines, fermented food, dance moves, party lights. The ability to have fun while saving the world. Final note. Captain Duha's Lucky Flask has been officially classified as a vital diplomatic tool. I've stopped asking what's really in it. As the first official joint human-alien karaoke party rocked the station, Duha raised his flask in a toast. To chaos, he called out. To order, the head counselor responded. To finding the perfect balance between them, Hansol added. Everyone cheered, human and alien together, as somewhere in the background, a quantum drive hummed along perfectly to the beat of a trot song. And that's how humanity saved the galaxy, not with perfect soldiers, but with perfect chaos. Sometimes, the best weapon isn't the biggest or the strongest. Sometimes, it's just knowing how to have a good time while getting the job done. The aliens never stood a chance. They sent their best. We sent our best too, our best party people.